Hello my loves. I'm just gonna film a little video today about my April favorites. I just wanted to talk about some of my most favorite things that I've been consuming because I've been really inspired this month and felt like sharing. If you see me looking down here, it's because I've got all my notes down here and I'm backdropped by one of my paintings that I'm working on. It's a super gloomy day today. I hope that's all right. And I'm drinking my tea. I actually made this mug in a ceramics workshop a couple of years ago with one of my favorite ceramicists, Alessia. Her ceramic workshops are amazing, so if you ever get the chance to do one with her, definitely do it. To get started, I thought that we would talk about my favorite artworks and artists that I've been looking at in April. It's been a super inspiring month. I've been making a lot of work myself because I'm not working at the moment, so I have the opportunity to be painting every single day. I've been looking at a lot of artists online, as I usually do. I am always looking at Amanda Barr's work. She has the most phenomenal surrealistic body pieces that are very colourful and are reminiscent of some of my older works, but also some of my works at the moment. She's been a reference for me ever since uni. She did a recent work of a body in water in a river, and that piece is just so striking and I really love it. And she also did a piece for the Love Lies Bleeding vinyl, the movie with Kristen Stewart, like a year or two ago, and that has been such a dream of mine to create a painting or an artwork that either is like an album cover or a movie cover or part of a movie poster. I'm manifesting a project like that because it was just the coolest. Amanda is a painter who lives and works in New York City. She was born in Columbus, Ohio, but spent the first 5 years of her life with her grandparents in China. So a lot of her work is about culture and diaspora. Yeah, so I really love her work. The other artist that I've been looking at a lot this month is Arthur Lemonnier. He's a French artist who's a couple years older than me. He lives and works in Paris. He writes that through his expressive paintings, he deals with the contrasting essence of human emotion, striving to maintain visual ambiguity. I find his works really striking, and they're these close-up face works, all kind of on the same shaped and size canvas, kind of small canvases, that he exhibits very colorfully but also muted and minimal. I don't know how he brings the two together. I love his work so much. Yeah, I also have been looking so much at this photographer called Kin Chan Kodal, and you've probably seen some of his photographs. They are so amazing. He writes that he's drawn to stories that blur the lines between past and present, and he has been taking some photos in the last couple of years, some amazing cultural imagery of Tibetan people in the mountains. He captures the clothing and the lifestyle so well and so effortlessly, and the photographs have this blurry, dreamy kind of quality to them, and he uses imagery of animals and people that is super divine, just dreamy and delicious. And then obviously I've been immersed in my own work. One work that I'm working on at the moment is my red lady portrait. This is my original red lady portrait, and this piece is called I'm Sitting in a Church But I'm Not Thinking About God. So I've done a new version which is a little bit different in concept but looks kind of similar without the overlay aspect. I've got to do a little bit more detail and maybe change up the background a little bit. I'm still deliberating on the background. Another piece that has been staring me in the face every day because it's right next to my bed is this piece. I'm gonna put it on the screen. But yeah, this work was for a kind of water-based exhibition that I did 2 years ago in 2023. It takes a movie still from the movie Swiss Army Man, and it is Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe, and it's a moment where they fall into the water and they start kissing, and it's this very odd film, but it is a phenomenal movie. So if you get the chance to watch it, I highly recommend if you like weird movies. But I particularly love this still. I want to do more paintings that explore intimacy, this image of two people embracing or kissing. Obviously on the other end of the spectrum, I've been watching The Last of Us, which I'll get into when I get into TV shows. I did 2 Last of Us paintings in the last couple of years, which I'll put here. One of them is here. And I've just been looking at this painting a lot because the new season has come and I've watched the first 3 episodes. I'm getting the urge to paint another Clicker or Infected, so if anyone wants a commission, I would happily paint you a zombie because they're just the most fun. In terms of books, I haven't been reading much this month actually, but I have been loving this book, Maria Abramovich's memoir, Walk Through Walls. I'm about a third in and already it is phenomenal. Her performance artwork has always inspired me. I wrote a little bit about some of her works in uni. My particular favorite is Rest Energy, and a lot of them are very full on. It's very profound, this book, in terms of creativity and original ideas. I'm really interested in film and performance and theatre. I'm really keen to keep going with this book. I highly recommend it, especially for anybody who is creative. I've also been reading this book, which is The Dictionary of Tolkien by David Day. This is like the most beautiful copy, which I picked up in London, and the illustrations inside are so divine, being very inspiring in terms of mythology and fantasy that I've been incorporating into my work. I'm a huge Tolkien fan. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so this is kind of like a must to have. Also, highly recommend watching Ruth Spears' recent video where she does a Lord of the Rings triptych, which is probably the most amazing painting I've ever witnessed. Watching her paint is mesmerizing, and she goes into such depth and research. It's very inspiring as a painter who uses a lot of mythology and folklore and storytelling in my own work to look at the depth of research that she does. Obviously, I dip into this book a lot, which is The Normal People Scripts. I got this as a gift a couple of years ago from my sister. It's the most beautiful book ever. I can only rewatch Normal People every now and then because it is so close to my heart. I really want to start this book, which I got for Christmas. It's called The Lonely City: Adventures in the Art of Being Alone by Olivia Lang. If you've read this, please let me know what you think. I'm very keen to read this soon. Okay, in terms of movies, one of my favorite topics to talk about. Firstly, starting off with movies that I watched for the first time. I watched Conclave. I went to the cinemas and I was honestly not expecting to love it as much as I did. It was a perfect film in my eyes. I think the ending was brilliant and it was super digestible for an audience who doesn't know much about what a conclave is. Every kind of 10 minutes, something more is revealed. So it's got a very good pace, which I didn't expect. I highly recommend watching Conclave. I had been recommended this movie called Sound of Metal. It stars Riz Ahmed and Olivia Cooke, and it's directed by Darius Marta. It's from 2019. It was a perfect film. It was so profound to me. So it is about a man who suddenly one day he starts to lose his hearing, and then it just rapidly declines and he almost has no hearing. And you come to realize that he's actually a recovering drug addict. It is so profound. It's about grief, and there is some amazing cinematography. There's this element where he goes to work with children. There's this one particular scene where he's in the playground with a child. Because he's a drummer, he's just banging a rhythm on the slide, and the child is laying his head on the slide and listening to this rhythm. And it was the most simple but the most affecting scene. And it's so beautiful, and there's a wide shot of it, of him on the slide. Oh, my heart melted. 5-star movie, definitely recommend watching it. I watched Small Things Like These, which is a new movie starring Cillian Murphy. It's about the impact of the Catholic Church and nunneries and the Magdalene laundries. And it was really, really good. I gave that a 4 stars. I watched A Midsummer Night's Dream from 1999, which was directed by Michael Hoffman. And my favorite part about this is the delicious love triangle between Demetrius, Lysander, Helena, and Hermia. And also my favorite casting is Stanley Tucci as Puck. This was just such a beautiful ethereal to watch while I was painting. I watched Sinners, which has got a lot of hype at the moment. I really enjoyed it. It had a super original screenplay. There is a scene in the middle of the film, and if you've watched it, you'll know what scene I'm talking about. It was probably the most moving scene I've watched in a new film in a long time. The movie was not a perfect film, but it was very fun. I love a good movie that has vampires and an Irish jig. I also watched the new Sebastian Stan film called A Different Man. This is directed by Aaron Schimberg and it stars Sebastian Stan and Adam Pearson. I've been meaning to watch this for quite a while. It was a really good watch. I rated it 4 stars. In terms of rewatches, I rewatched Good Will Hunting, which is an absolute classic. It stars Matt Damon and Robin Williams. Obviously, the screenplay was written by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and they won for the writing, I believe. If you haven't watched this movie, what are you doing? It's a perfect film. That's all I have to say. Another rewatch that I did was Oppenheimer. I had only seen it the one time in cinemas on the day that I went and saw it and Barbie on the same day, and I thought it was phenomenal. I'm pretty sure I gave it a 4 or a 4.5 stars when I first saw it, but rewatching this, it was perfect. It was a 5-star movie. If you want to see all my stuff on Letterboxd, I will put my Letterboxd username up, and yeah, you can go follow me there and see what I'm watching on the daily. In terms of TV shows, obviously I've been watching the new season of The Last of Us, and I won't speak too much on that because a lot of big things happen and I kind of don't really want to talk about that right now. I also started a new Australian series called The Narrow Road to the Deep North, which stars Jacob Elordi. It's beautiful watching him on my screen, and the cinematography for this TV show is so beautiful. There are so many stills that I could take and paint. It's about World War II, these Australian men who become prisoners of war in Thailand. I'm only 2 episodes into that, but it's really good so far. I think it's only 5 or 6 episodes. I love to listen to podcasts. I have a bunch of funny podcasts that I listen to, like the Inspired Unemployed and the You Wouldn't podcast. But in terms of artistic podcasts, I love the A24 podcast, the recent one called Child's Play with Andrew Garfield and Harris Dickinson, where they talk about their new movies, Baby Girl and We Live in Time. This month I recently re-listened to Paul Mescal on the Louis Theroux podcast. I highly recommend going and watch that. There's a particular episode of the Great Women Artists podcast called Deborah Levy on Francesca Woodman, Lee Miller, Paula Rego, and Leonora Carrington, which are 4 female artists that I adore and work as exemplars for myself. I'm also really excited to listen to the Great Women Artists podcast where they interview Marina Abramovic. I'm going to be listening to that after I finish the memoir that I've been reading at the moment. I love to listen to The Big Picture, which is kind of a movie podcast that discuss kind of movie culture and all the movies, the new movies that I've been watching. Their podcast on Conclave was amazing, and Sinners. Always really great discussions around film and film analysis. And probably my most enjoyed podcast has been The Last of Us podcast, which is hosted by Troy Baker, who actually plays Joel in the video game. He's joined by Craig Mason and Neil Druckmann. Craig Mason is the director and writer of the TV show, and Neil Druckmann is the creator of the game and also writes and produces the TV show. And the 3 of them talking about the TV show. I'm not a video game player. They don't make you feel like an idiot for not having played the game. The way that they speak about the story and the morals and the ethics and all of the underlying relationships and dynamics is so phenomenal. I highly recommend listening to the podcast. An episode comes out each week discussing each episode. In terms of songs that I've really enjoyed, Coachella was on this month, and probably the highlight for me was seeing one of my favorite bands of all time is called The Parcels. They're an Australian band. Played at Coachella before, but their Coachella set this year was just insane. I screen recorded some of it. They've got a new song called Safe and Sound, which I love so dearly. I've been listening to the entirety of the Dirty Dancing soundtrack. Dirty Dancing is one of my favorite films of all time, and I've just been listening to that music so much lately. Mumford & Sons released a new album. There's one song on the album that is the best song, and it's called Malibu. I can't stop listening to it. It's so beautiful. I mentioned in another video that me and my friends have been doing a 30-day poetry writing challenge, and that's been really special. I thought I'd share with you one of the poems that I wrote. I'm gonna put on the screen a couple of poems from my two best friends, Summer and Sylvana. They're part of the challenge with me and they've been writing some brilliant poetry, very magical, mystical, folklore based. Okay, in terms of YouTube content that I've been watching, I love Dakota Warren so much. I specifically watched her video recently of folk horror film recommendations. It's a great video. Some of them that I've watched, but most of them I haven't, so I added a lot of them to my watch list. I've been loving watching the Criterion Closet lately. I went back and watched the Andrew Garfield episode and the Nicholas Hoult episode. A YouTuber that I love so much is Will's Camera. He's an American photographer and content creator. He's somebody I've been following for a while now. He makes really, really beautiful videos. There's a recent video he made called I Moved Across the World for a Boy. I got so emotional in this video that I actually had to pause it and come back a few days later because I was just so touched. I popped on a quick video of Helena Bonham Carter on poetry and her favorite poems, and she read this particular poem about being an old woman and wearing the color purple, and I highly recommend going to watch that video. I also recently have been watching a couple of like old videos and footage of Joan Baez and Bob Dylan after watching A Complete Unknown, particularly the It Ain't Me Babe song. And last but not least, I want to talk about outfits and clothing items that I've been loving recently. I feel like ever since I moved to Melbourne, I've been a lot more intentional in the way that I've been dressing. The first thing I want to talk about is this jumper here. I actually got this from the op shop and it says it's made in New Zealand and it's wool, and I am obsessed with it. It's super cozy and I can actually wear it here in Melbourne as opposed to when I was living in Brisbane and I couldn't wear jumpers as much. I particularly love the furry collar. It's like furry without being over the top. Secondly, I got this shirt from the market secondhand. It's from Country Road originally. I love it so much. I wore it to a family dinner the other night. The puffy sleeves are just everything. They remind me of all of the costumes in Poor Things, which is one of my favorite movies. It looks really nice with a pair of jeans or a pair of black pants. I also recently got these pants from Muji, the dark brown cropped pants. I love them so much. They are quite a high-waisted fit and I had a go at styling them in a bunch of different ways. One thing that I've been loving for my outfits is this belt, which I actually found in my mum's closet. It's just really interesting and really cool to jazz up a basic outfit. Like I've worn it a few times with just a black long sleeve and jeans. I love this piece. And finally, one of my favorite things that I've been wearing lots in April are these red shoes. I actually found them at the op shop. It was a super lucky find because they fit me perfectly. They're the brand Camper and they look really nice with red stockings. I love these to bits. Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell me if there's anything that you really loved in April. I want to hear about what movies people have been watching. Comment your favorite thing that you watched in April. If you like this video and you want me to do a May favorites video next month, let me know. But thank you so much for watching and listening, and also subscribe if you like this kind of content. Make videos about my paintings, my painting process, life as an artist in Melbourne, and all of the new things I'm working on. Yeah, I love you all.